So to Norwegians and the government of Norway, particularly, not to the Norwegian people, but to the government of Norway, we say this loud and clear. You know, Norway, we've got enough local Jew haters in Hamas, in Gaza. We don't need to import their supporters from abroad.
You can have UNRWA or you can have peace, but you can't have both.
We recently had a review. According to the UNWRA talking points, the Colonna review gave UNWRA a clean bill of health, and UNWRA has been certified as combating terrorism by an independent audit. That is the story that we hear. There was an independent audit. Let's take a look at the independent audit. We released a report several weeks ago called UNRWA's Rigged Independent Review. It's on our website, unwatch.org. And there, in great detail, we document, first of all, how and UNRWA admits this, the initiative for this independent review, so-called, was Monsieur Lazzarini himself. The head of UNRWA is the one who initiated the review, and it was orchestrated from the start to give a certain result. They picked the head of the review, Catherine Colonna, who was not neutral and objective on UNRWA. In fact, several weeks prior to her appointment, she had said, publicly posted, that UNRWA is needed more than ever. She was also foreign minister of France, which gave tens of millions to UNRWA. They were effectively a board member on the advisory commission of UNRWA. So the notion that she would be independent is absurd. But look at also the members of the review group. There were 3 Scandinavian institutes, each of which is a major defender of UNRWA. For example, one of the groups conducting the so-called independent review is a Danish group called CMI. The leading expert of CMI is Kjersti Berg. Kjersti Berg is one of the most well-known defenders of UNRWA. She writes major papers defending UNRWA. In her report from 2022 report, she said that any notion that that the agency instigates violence through its school curriculum are unfounded claims. But something else we should know about Kjersti Berg, which is little known, is that Kjersti Berg, a member of CMI, one of the groups conducting the review, is part of what's called the Global Network for Palestine, the GNQP, Global Network for the Question of Palestine. That is an organization, a network, founded by Francesca Albanese, who's now the UN rapporteur in Palestine. You can go on the website called ARDD. It's all exposed on our website, unwatch.org. A global network of about 90 people, former UNRWA officials like Lex Tackenberg, the former UNRWA legal advisor, former PLO officials like Hanan Ashrawi, leading anti-Israeli academics, and their job was to lobby against Israel.
Another story that you may have missed. Earlier this month, the Israeli Foreign Ministry sent a letter to UNRWA Chief Philip. There cannot be a solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict if UNRWA continues to exist. So let's have the courage to say it clearly. UNRWA should be completely dismantled. Whatever services it provides to Palestinians should be provided either by the Palestinian Authority, the Jordanian government, or by the myriad international aid agencies that do not have terrorists on their payroll. Lazzarini that lists 108 UNRWA employees who are known Hamas or Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorists. The Israeli Foreign Ministry demanded that these 108 employees be fired immediately. And we should all be asking some pretty simple questions. How are there so many terrorists on the UN payroll? Will these 108 terrorists be fired? Or will they continue to receive money from UNRWA? And why is it so hard for so many people to accept the truth about UNRWA?
Now, before we finish, a special word about Philip Lazzarini, the Commissioner General of UNRWA. Allow me to be a little undiplomatic and get straight to the point. Israeli forces have retrieved millions of documents in captured enemy material. This new intelligence exposes two undeniable facts. First, the involvement of the United Nations Relief and Work Agency, UNWRA, employees in the October 7th massacre. Second, the deep and systemic infiltration by those terror organizations, Hamas, but also Palestinian Islamic Jihad, into the ranks of UNWRA. Now, if the UN was doing what it was designed to do, then Philip Lazzarini should be one of the good guys. But he is not. He is one of the bad guys. A terrorist sympathizer, a Jew-killing enabler, a liar. Mr. Lazzarini has been given evidence of the UNRWA-Hamas nexus. It is literally impossible not to see that cooperation. You can Google it for yourselves. Google UNRWA, and after going past the UNRWA propaganda, you'll see our website. Now, we have handed over the evidence to the UN, to the Secretary General, to other governments. Mr. Lazzarini often repeats the claim that Israel has not shared the information about UNRWA and Hamas. He lies. Shame on you, Mr. Lazzarini. Shame on you. History will remember you as an accomplice to Jew killing and someone that prolonged the suffering of ordinary Gazans. Shame on you, Mr. Lazzarini.
When it was revealed in late January that approximately 12 UNRWA employees were involved in the October 7th massacre, including one, Mr. Al-Alimi, who's an UNRWA social worker who was kidnapping the lifeless body of Yonatan Samarano. This is seen on video. The head of the United Nations, Guterres, said, "I'm horrified," and the head of UNRWA, Philippe Lazzarini, were all horrified. And our response was, really? Are you really horrified? Because since August 2015, we've been submitting reports with screenshots. Now, maybe we're making up all the screenshots, but I don't think so, because UNRWA actually has been forced to suspend several of the people once the US or other governments took action. So in our report, this is what we submitted to the Colonna Review. It was all ignored. This is called Submission by UN Watch to the Independent Review Group, dated 9 April 2024. It's on our website at unwatch.org. And we submitted to Madame Colonna, none of this was mentioned, the list of the reports that we sent to UNRWA. So since 2015, August 2015, we sent a letter to Ban Ki-moon, then Secretary General, no response. September 2015, we sent a report to Ban Ki-moon and then UNRWA Chief Pierre Krahenbuhl, who's now the head of the Red Cross, no response. 2015, 2017, 2018, no response. The only response that we would get would be to attack us. Chris Gunnis, who was part of the lobbying group supporting UNRWA and was their spokesman, his strategy repeatedly was to attack UN Watch. He never, if I live in Geneva, if I reported to the Geneva Board of Education that numerous of their teachers, hundreds of their teachers, were posting pictures of Adolf Hitler and saying it's a religious obligation to kill the Jews, they would invite me immediately and say, can you please help us find the perpetrators? The response of UNRWA was the opposite. All they did was to attack us. There is not a single agency in the world that documents UNRWA violations of neutrality that UNRWA embraces. There's a few other groups that report these things. UNRWA attacks all of them. They are not interested in hearing about it. All they want to do is to attack us. So to answer your question, we reported these repeatedly. It's all documented in our submission to the Colonna report, dates 2021, 2023, and so forth. And the response was either to ignore us or to attack us. UNRWA may claim that they have the most mechanisms in the world. Maybe it's true. But today we released a report. It's on our website. It's called, I'm going to circulate it afterwards to the group, Contempt for Colonna, UNRWA leaders continue to promote terrorism, where we mention the head of the UNRWA Teachers Union, not one teacher, but he's a school principal at the Deir Yassin School. His name is Fatri Al-Sharif, also pronounced Fateh al-Sharif. He is, in March, he was suspended by UNRWA. We don't know exactly why. It's not entirely clear. But he's still a teacher at UNRWA, a school principal, and head of the teachers union. In our report, we show that Fateh al-Sharif is actually a leading supporter and probably a member of Hamas. Our report shows, and we released our report, so his Facebook page, it's on our website, unwatch.org. You can go to the Facebook page of Mr. al-Sharif. I expect that UNRWA will delete the page within the next 24 hours, but it's still live now. We just released it. And you see that al-Sharif has attended Hamas events, rallies, funerals, always appearing next to the Hamas leadership. He praises Hamas attacks on October 7th. He said, this is the head of the UNRWA Teachers Union, said, God is the greatest, God is the greatest. This is on October 7th after the massacre. He praised Hamas leader Hassan Youssef as a firm leader, adding, we're all proud of you. He celebrated Hamas terrorist Fadi Abu Shidem with the words, our blood creates victory. And I could go on and on. Here are pictures of Fateh al-Sharif with Hamas leader in Lebanon. This is Mr. al-Sharif. This is the Hamas leader in Lebanon. I will finish my answer by saying that the case of Fateh al-Sharif underscores the fact that the mechanisms and procedures supposedly certified by the Colonel report are a sham. Mr. al-Sharif has thousands of friends on Facebook, many of whom work at UNRWA. They know he's a supporter of Hamas. They know he's probably a member of Hamas, and they let him stay in his position for years, running the education of UNRWA that all of you and all of us are paying for.